Welcome to this episode of the Sports Detective Podcast Show. My name is James Williams, and today are Aaron Rodgers' only two options left to sign with the Vikings or retire? What are we talking about? Well, we did a video a few days ago talking about Aaron Rodgers' free agency, and we were talking about how weird he was handling his free agency so far because we'd seen like most people in the NFL re-sign or sign with their teams over the first few days of free agency. And kind of like the thing was like, hey, why is Aaron taking so long to make his decision? And it wasn't that he was just taking so long to make his decision that was weird. It was the fact that like basically the reporting was from the Steelers and the Giants. They were kind of like, hey, we've given Aaron offers and we don't know what he wants. We don't know if he wants more money than what we are offering him. We don't know if he wants 1 year, if he wants 2 years. We don't know what Aaron Rodgers wants out of a contract from us. And he was basically kind of like ghosting them to a degree. Well, I kind of theorized at that time, well, maybe the reason that he is kind of like taking so long to make this decision is that maybe, and I thought I was crazy. I thought I was crazy for saying this, was he wasn't choosing between the Steelers and the Giants. He was choosing between playing football or retiring. Well, it turns out I might not have been that crazy because basically what's been happening the last few days and all the reporting is that Aaron Rodgers has let it be known that he wants to sign with the Minnesota Vikings. The Minnesota Vikings are his number one destination that he wants to play football at next season. And basically the Vikings have been having a bunch of meetings over the last few days, kind of like debating like, hey, or discussing like, hey, how would this work? How would this fit? Is he a good fit for our football team? All that stuff. And The Athletic has been reporting on this, and they also dropped this kind of tidbit in their reporting. So let's go ahead and read this report here. Report: Aaron Rodgers hopes to sign with the Vikings per Mike Silver, Alec Lewis, and Diana Rossini. It is possible Rodgers will turn down both the Steelers and Giants and opt for retirement if the Vikings cease to be an option. And that's kind of what we were talking about here, guys, because and that was what I was saying a few days ago. Basically, if he went to the Steelers and the Giants, both of those situations, the only reason those guys in those situations want him to be on their team, it's a Hail Mary to try and save their jobs. Because if the Giants don't go to the playoffs next year, they're getting fired. If the Steelers, I think if they don't win a playoff game next year, I think Mike Tomlin's going to get fired. Because if he loses another playoff game, he ties Marvin Lewis's record for longest playoff losing streak in NFL history. And Marvin Lewis is kind of like known forever as like the guy that was there for a while, there forever, that never won a playoff game. And you don't, if you're the Steelers, you think you're better than the than the Bengals, pardon me. And it kind of makes sense that why Aaron is looking at the Minnesota Vikings as being this like exciting option, because we saw them heading into like week 16, 17 last year. It looked like, hey, are the Vikings going to go to the Super Bowl? They were a game away from getting the number one seed in the NFC. And then Sam Darnold had a few bad games. You look at their team, solid offensive line. Jordan Addison, Justin Jefferson, TJ Hawkinson, Kevin O'Connell, one of the best offensive coaches in the NFL. Combined with that, you have Brian Flores on the defensive side of the ball, who is a very good defensive coach. You got basically this is a really, really good Minnesota Vikings roster, and you could make the argument if they have a top 10 quarterback, this team is going to be a Super Bowl contender again next season. So it makes sense that this would be Aaron's number one option. And kind of like the idea of the Vikings signing Aaron Rodgers, though, and I was kind of reading a lot of this stuff online because it seemed like a lot of Vikings accounts have been talking about this on Twitter, but it's something that I've seen them talk about a lot, but I can't tell whether or not the fans want it or not. I can't tell if they're like excited about it because they think that if they have Aaron, they have a chance to win. It seems like a lot of them do not want Aaron Rodgers to be the quarterback, whether or not that's because of all the baggage with him on the Packers for so many years, whether or not that's him as a person, whether or not that's him as a football player, I'm not sure. But let's be real here, guys. The Vikings should not sign Aaron Rodgers to be their quarterback next season. Sure, if you look at Aaron Rodgers' stats from last season, you look at the touchdowns, you look at the interception ratio, and you don't look at the game film, you don't look at who his offensive weapons are, which he actually had pretty good offensive weapons last year, and the running game. You don't look at any of that stuff and how he moved, his athleticism. If you don't look at any of that stuff and just look at touchdowns and interceptions, hey, it looks like a great option. But guys, he's cooked. He's washed. He's a rotisserie chicken. That's what he is now. He can't move anymore. He looked like he was afraid to get hit. And he's kind of a head case sometimes too. Like it's over. It's done. Stick a fork in him. Aaron Rodgers, it's over, man. It's over. I'm out on him. I think he's cooked. And whether or not, this isn't a take on him as a dude or anything, or as a quarterback. I just think it's over. If you look at the other quarterbacks throughout NFL history, basically Tom Brady's the only guy that succeeded after he turned 40. Look at all the other quarterbacks that have retired in the past like 10, 15 years. All of them, they hit their mid 30s and they're kind of cooked. Like Kirk Cousins is 36 now. He looks cooked. Phillip Rivers, late 30s, cooked. Matt Ryan, both Mannings, Carson Palmer, Big Ben. Those guys get to their late 30s, mid-late 30s. It's over. It's done. And we haven't seen Aaron Rodgers play good football in like 4 years. We haven't seen him play good football in 4 years, guys. That's the last time Aaron Rodgers was elite, good, above average NFL quarterback. 2021, 4 years ago. It's over. I wouldn't sign him. I would roll JJ McCarthy. And if they don't, kind of like what I was seeing, if they decide to sign Aaron Rodgers, basically it's kind of like, hey, they don't think JJ is going to be 100% healthy to start the season, and they want to give him as much time possible to heal from his knee surgery. Again, I'm not sure I figured he would be healthy enough I didn't figure that wouldn't be a problem, but maybe I'm wrong. Maybe Vikings fans can fill me in on that in the comments section here. And also Vikings fans too, let me know what you think of Aaron Rodgers. If you want Aaron Rodgers or you don't want Aaron Rodgers to be your quarterback, would love to hear you guys' thoughts in the comments. And again, talking about the Vikings or retire part of this discussion now. I think it's not going to be an actual retirement. I think it's going to be a retirement if Aaron Rodgers actually does retire instead of sign with the Vikings, because I think Aaron Rodgers is definitely going to hint all summer, man, I'm still in football shape, man. Still in football shape, bro. You know me, Aaron. Me. I'm just, I got my Joe Rogan science, and I'm fit, and you're going to see videos of Aaron Rodgers throwing a football on the beach or something, with like a lay on his neck or something like that. You're going to see him tease a comeback, and then I think he's going to be retired, and then he's going to hope that week 1, week 2, week 3, week 4 of the NFL season, God forbid, we don't want anyone that is a starting quarterback in the NFL to have a season-ending injury, especially early on in the season or at any part of the season. So knock on wood, we do not want that to happen. But let's say a Matt Stafford got hurt and he was going to have to miss the rest of the season. Aaron Rodgers sitting in the wings waiting. Brock Purdy gets hurt. Aaron Rodgers sitting in the wings waiting. JJ McCarthy gets hurt again. Aaron Rodgers sitting in the wings waiting. Like Tua gets hurt. Aaron Rodgers sitting in the wings waiting. Name whatever team you think has Super Bowl aspirations and loses their quarterback for a year, and they could have a 1-year rental with Aaron Rodgers to try and go and win a Super Bowl. They might try it, and Aaron might be banking on that. Or Aaron might also be thinking like, hey, maybe I sit out this year and then I make a comeback next year. It might be something he's thinking about. And you never know. Maybe some teams would have an interest a year from now, even if Aaron Rodgers doesn't play at all next season, to have him come and be their quarterback. But I've given you guys my opinion. I think he's washed. I think he's cooked like a rotisserie chicken. I think it's over for him. And I watched the games last year. I don't care about the touchdowns interception ratio. It's kind of funny. Sometimes we get it's like we don't, like I've seen it online recently. We've just been so numbers obsessed. We're so numbers obsessed. And I keep seeing like side to side comparisons, and everyone's like, aha, look at that. This guy has, it's mostly basketball. This guy has like 1 more rebound and 1 more assist a game than this guy. I think this settles who's better. I think this settles who's the better player. And I think we just have to go away from stuff like that. Like I watched every game last year. I don't think Aaron Rodgers is a good quarterback anymore. He can't move. He's afraid to get hit. I think it's over. That's going to do it for this episode here today. Again, like I said, even if you're a Giants or Steelers fan watching this, do you want Aaron Rodgers to be your quarterback next season? I want you guys, I want to hear your guys' thoughts, because I genuinely think I think that reporting is true. I think if he doesn't do the Vikings, I think he'll retire, and then hope that someone gets hurt in the offseason. Because like the thing is, like if it's if he goes to the Steelers and they go like 9-8, miss the playoffs, or they go to the playoffs, and lose right away, like it's over. He goes to the Giants and it's a disaster like the Jets. It's over for him. No one's giving him a shot next year. It's over. He's done. So it would make sense that like if he's going to give his one last shot, cash in his last check or last token to be a quarterback in the NFL, he's going to want to do it in the right situation. And the Vikings would be, probably the best situation. I don't know if it's the right situation, but be the best situation possible for him. So, yep, that's going to do it for this episode here today. Like I said, comment where you think Aaron Rodgers is going to end up. What's he going to do? Do you want him on your team? Thank you very much for watching. If you got this far in the video, hit that like button. That's how I know I should make more videos like this. Subscribe if you haven't done so already. It's the number one thing that you can do to help support this show. We're trying to get to 1,000. We're at like 660 or something right now. So everybody that subscribes, I'll love you forever. Yeah, feel free to check out other videos on the Sports Detective Podcast channel page. I'm sure you'll find something else that you like. Thank you for watching.